The last thing Commander Zeke expected to see when the storm broke through Earth's atmosphere was a massive banner that read, "Welcome to the end of your invasion." For decades, the Thean Empire had been the dominant force in the galaxy, subjugating weaker species and integrating their resources into the Empire's ever-growing hunger for expansion. The Galactic Council had long warned humanity that their days of independence were numbered, yet humanity had remained defiant, rejecting integration with an audacity that bordered on madness. Commander Zeke had been tasked with leading the invasion force, a fleet of ships so vast it blotted out the stars as it approached Earth. The Theans expected a swift and brutal victory, much like every other conquest, but from the moment they breached the atmosphere, something felt off. Zach's thoughts were interrupted by the sudden appearance of an enormous, sleek vessel rising from Earth's surface, dwarfing the Thean warships in size and sophistication. Its hull shimmered with technology unfamiliar even to the seasoned commander. "Sir, we're detecting an energy buildup in that ship," reported Lieutenant Sol, his eyes glued to the readings. "It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Zach could respond, but a voice boomed through their communication systems, clear and taunting. "This is Admiral Hayes of the Terran Defense Force. You've chosen the wrong planet to invade." Hayes's voice had a chilling calmness to it, a stark contrast to the usual pleas or threats the Theans were accustomed to hearing. Zach felt an unfamiliar sensation creeping through his veins. "Doubt." "Admiral Hayes," Zach replied, attempting to regain control of the situation. "Surrender now and we will show mercy to your people. Resist and face annihilation." Hayes's laughter echoed through the bridge. "You misunderstand, Commander. We are not here to negotiate. We've been preparing for this day. Welcome to Earth, the place where your conquest ends." With that, the Terran vessel unleashed a beam of energy that sliced through the lead Thean battleship, splitting it in two. The bridge exploded into chaos as alarms blared and emergency protocols activated. "Return fire!" Zach shouted, but even as he gave the order, he knew it was futile. The human ship moved with a grace and precision that defied everything they knew about space warfare. The Thean fleet retaliated, their powerful plasma cannons lighting up the darkness of space. Yet the Terran ship danced through the barrage, its shields absorbing the impact with ease. More human ships began to rise from the planet's surface, each one more advanced than the last. "Commander, we need to regroup," Zal shouted, his voice barely audible over the din. Zach clenched his mandibles. Retreat had never been an option in their conquest, but this was different. This was a fight they were not prepared for. "All ships fall back to the rendezvous point. We need to reassess our strategy." As the Thean fleet began its hasty retreat, the humans did not pursue. Instead, they hovered in formation, a silent testament to their newfound power. Back on the Thean flagship, Zeke paced the command deck, his mind racing. How did we underestimate them so drastically? He muttered to himself. "Sir, it appears they've been advancing their technology in secret," Gull replied, still analyzing the data. "Our intelligence reports were outdated. This level of technological development, it's unprecedented." Zach's eyes narrowed. "Prepare a message to the Emperor. We need reinforcements. This isn't just a battle anymore. It's a war for survival." But even as he gave the order, a nagging doubt lingered in his mind. What if reinforcements wouldn't be enough? What if humanity had truly become the dominant force in the galaxy? A force that even the mighty Thean Empire could not overcome. On the surface of the Earth, Admiral Hayes watched the retreating Thean fleet with a satisfied smile. "They'll be back," he said to Captain ROR, his second in command. "And when they do, we'll be ready." RR nodded. "They won't know what hit them. The new energy weapons worked better than we anticipated." "That they did," Hayes replied, "but we can't get complacent. This was just the first wave. They'll return with more ships, more firepower. We need to be ready to show them that Earth is not just a planet to be conquered. It's a fortress." As Hayes turned to leave the command center, he paused, looking at the image of the Thean fleet on the screen. "They thought they could take us by surprise. They thought we were weak. Today, they learned just how wrong they were." The room fell silent as Hayes walked out, the weight of the coming war heavy on his shoulders. The Theans had started this conflict, but it would be humanity that finished it. Earth was prepared to fight, and they would not stop until the Thean Empire learned the true cost of underestimating humanity. The day the humans answered would be remembered as the turning point in a war that would reshape the galaxy. And for the first time in history, it was humanity who held the upper hand. The threats and reinforcements arrived within a week, a vast armada that filled the sensors of every human ship with a relentless stream of data. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the TDF Resolute, the flagship of the Terran Defense Force, as his crew analyzed the incoming fleet. Commander Zach's message must have been convincing, Captain ROR remarked, watching the screens. That's a lot of ships. Hayes nodded, his expression serious. They won't underestimate us again. This time, they'll throw everything they have at us. As the Threxian ships moved into formation, Hayes turned to his communications officer. Send a message to all ships. We hold the line here. No one retreats. This is our home, and we will defend it. The response was immediate, a chorus of acknowledgments from the Terran fleet. Each captain, each crew member, knew the stakes. This was not just about Earth. It was about humanity's place in the galaxy. Commander Zeke stood on the bridge of the Thean flagship, the Emperor, studying the Terran formations. The humans had positioned themselves strategically, taking advantage of the planetary defenses and their advanced technology. They've set up a strong perimeter, Exal observed. Breaking through will be costly. Costly or not, we have no choice. The Emperor demands victory. Prepare the fleet for a full-scale assault. As the Thean ships advanced, the space between them and the human fleet erupted with the fury of battle. Plasma bolts and energy beams crisscrossed the void, lighting up the darkness with deadly precision. The humans fought with a tenacity that surprised even Zach. On the Resolute, Hayes watched the Thean assault unfold. Deploy the drones, he ordered. Let's see how they handle our newest toys. From the hangars of the Terran ships, swarms of combat drones poured out, each one equipped with cutting-edge weaponry and autonomous AI. They darted through the battlefield, targeting Thean ships with ruthless efficiency. Drone strikes are effective, sir, reported Lieutenant Kaminsky, monitoring the battle from his station. We're inflicting significant damage on their smaller vessels. Hayes nodded. Good. Keep the pressure on. We need to break their momentum. On the Emperor, Zach was beginning to realize the true extent of humanity's advancements. Their drones are wreaking havoc on our lines, Incool reported. We need to adapt quickly. Zach issued rapid orders to his fleet, directing them to focus their fire on the swarms of drones. As the Thean ships adjusted their tactics, the drones began to take losses, but the cost in Thean ships was high. The humans have anticipated our every move, Zach said, frustration creeping into his voice. How have they come this far so fast? We underestimated them, Z replied. And now we're paying the price. Zach knew his lieutenant was right. This was no longer just a battle. It was a test of wills, a contest to see who could outlast the other, and the humans were proving to be formidable opponents. Back on Earth, the battle was being watched by billions. Every screen, every broadcast, showed the unfolding conflict. In bunkers and command centers across the globe, military leaders coordinated their defenses, ready to support the fleet above. In one such bunker, General Marcus Steele reviewed the latest reports. The Theans are throwing everything they have at us, he said, looking at the assembled officers, but our fleet is holding. Hayes and his men are doing their job. But for how long? One officer asked. Their numbers are overwhelming. Steele's gaze was steely. As long as it takes. We've come too far to lose now. As the battle raged on, the tide began to turn. The human ships, though outnumbered, were holding their ground with a ferocity that stunned the Theans. The Terran fleet's superior tactics and technology were making a difference. Sir, we breached their second line of defense, Kaminsky reported, his voice filled with excitement. We're pushing them back. Hayes allowed himself a brief smile. Good. Keep the pressure on. We need to break their spirit. On the Emperor, Zach watched in disbelief as his ships began to fall back. This cannot be, he muttered. How are they doing this? Sol, for once, had no answer. The Theans had always been the superior force, the conquerors. Yet here they were, being bested by a species they had once deemed insignificant. The battle dragged on, hours turning into a relentless grind of attrition. Both sides suffered heavy losses, but the human resolve remained unbroken. Admiral, we have reports of critical damage on several ships, ROR said, his voice tense. We can't keep this up forever. Hayes nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Order the damaged ships to fall back to secondary positions. We'll cover them. We can't afford to lose ANYM. Or, the Terran fleet adjusted, allowing their most damaged vessel to retreat while the remaining ships held the line. The Theans, sensing weakness, pressed their attack, but the humans were ready. Admiral, the Theans are concentrating their fire on the Resolute, Kaminsky warned. They're trying to take us out. Hayes' eyes narrowed. Let them come. Prepare for close-quarters combat. As the Thean ships closed in, the Resolute unleashed a barrage of firepower. Its advanced weapon systems cut through the enemy ranks. The ship shook with the impact of enemy fire, but Hayes remained calm, directing the battle with a steady hand. We're not going down without a fight, he said quietly, his determination unwavering. On the Emperor, Zith knew the battle was slipping away. The humans were proving to be an indomitable force, their spirit unbroken even in the face of overwhelming odds. Commander, we need to withdraw, Zal urged. We can't sustain these losses. Zith's mandibles clenched in frustration. To retreat was to admit defeat, something the Thean Empire had never done. But as he looked at the data, he knew Asa was right. Order the retreat, he said reluctantly. We'll regroup and come back stronger. As the Threx and fleet began to pull back, the humans did not pursue. They held their ground, watching as the invaders fled. On the Resolute, Hayes allowed himself a moment of relief. We did it, ROR said, his voice filled with awe. We actually did it, Hayes nodded. This battle is ours, but the war is far from over. They'll be back, and when they come, we need to be ready. As the remnants of the Thean fleet disappeared into the void, the human ships began to regroup, tending to their wounded and assessing the damage. The battle had been hard fought, but humanity had proven its strength. On Earth, celebrations erupted as the news spread. The invincible Thean Empire had been dealt a significant blow. Humanity had answered the call and emerged victorious. But in the back of every mind was the understanding that this was only the beginning. The real war was yet to come, and humanity would need every ounce of its strength and ingenuity to prevail. Admiral Hayes looked out at the stars, his mind already planning for the next encounter. The Theans would return, but this time humanity would be even more prepared. This was their world, their home, and they would defend it to the last. The day the humans answered had set the stage for a conflict that would define the future of the galaxy, and humanity, against all odds, was ready to fight. The months that followed the initial battle saw humanity preparing for the inevitable return of the Tran. The Terran Defense Force expanded its fleet, integrating lessons learned from the first engagement. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, developing even more advanced technologies and weapons. Earth had united as never before, the threat of annihilation forging a bond stronger than any in history. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned TDF Resolute II, its sleek, angular design a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. Beside him, Captain ROR monitored the latest intelligence reports. Scouts have detected significant Threx activity near the edge of the system, ROR said. It looks like they're assembling for another push. Hayes nodded. They're desperate. We dealt them a heavy blow, but they won't stop until they've either conquered us or been utterly defeated. This time, humanity was ready. The fleet had been reinforced with new ships, each one equipped with the latest in human and reverse-engineered Thean technology. The Terran Defense Network, a series of orbital defense platforms and ground-based missile silos, was fully operational, ready to unleash a torrent of firepower on any invader. As the Thean fleet approached, it became clear that they were throwing everything they had into this final assault. Thousands of ships, ranging from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, filled the void of space. The sheer scale of the force was staggering. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes, he announced over the fleet-wide comm channel. The Theans think they can break us. They think they can take our home. Let's show them how wrong they are. The response was a resounding cheer, the determination of humanity echoing through the void. The battle began with a fury that dwarfed the first engagement. The Thean fleet unleashed a storm of plasma fire, targeting the human defenses with relentless precision. But the Terran fleet held firm, their shields absorbing the onslaught while returning fire with devastating accuracy. The Thean strategy was clear: overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers. But Hayes and his commanders had anticipated this. Using advanced predictive algorithms and real-time data analysis, the Terran fleet executed maneuvers with a precision that left the Theans scrambling to adjust. Swarms of drones darted through the enemy ranks, targeting weak points and disrupting formations. The orbital defense platforms rained down destruction, their powerful energy cannons slicing through the Thean ships like a hot knife through butter. As the battle raged on, It became clear that the Theans were unprepared for the level of resistance they faced. "We're pushing them back," ROR reported, a note of triumph in his voice. "Their formation is breaking." Hayes allowed himself a brief smile. "Keep the pressure on. This is our chance to end this once and for all." On the Thean flagship Emperor, Commander Zack watched in disbelief as his fleet crumbled. The humans had outmaneuvered them at every turn, their technology and tactics far surpassing anything the Theans had encountered before. "Commander, our losses are catastrophic," Inkul reported, his voice filled with despair. "We can't sustain this." Zack knew he was right. The Thean Empire's once unbreakable grip on the galaxy was slipping away, undone by a species they had dismissed as insignificant. "Order the retreat," he said reluctantly. "We can't win this." As the Thean fleet began to pull back, the humans pursued, refusing to let their enemies escape unscathed. One by one, the Thean ships fell, their once mighty fleet reduced to a fraction of its former strength. On the Resolute II, Hayes watched as the last of the Thean ships disappeared into the void. The battle was over, and humanity had emerged victorious. But the cost had been high. Thousands of lives had been lost, and the scars of the conflict would linger for generations. As the fleet regrouped and tended to its wounded, Hayes addressed his crew. "Today, we proved that humanity is not to be underestimated," he said. "We faced an enemy that sought to destroy us, and we stood our ground. This is our home, our galaxy, and we will defend it with everything we have. Let this be a lesson to any who would challenge us. Earth is not just a planet. It's a fortress, and humanity will never back down." The cheers of his crew echoed through the ship, a testament to their unbreakable spirit. Humanity had faced the greatest threat in its history and had emerged stronger for it. The Thean Empire would never again underestimate the strength and resolve of the human race. And as the galaxy watched, it became clear that a new power had risen, one that would shape the future for generations to come. Humanity had answered the call, and the galaxy would never be the same.